So thank you again for joining us on the COVID-19 updates on June 2nd, 2020. Thank you for joining. I know that we have people and students from all over the world. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening to wherever you are. Coming in, you are muted, so that way it doesn't distract from the presenters giving this presentation. It's up to you if you would like to have your camera on for this presentation. And just so you know, we do have a chat box available for each and every one of you to ask your questions. I would say there's a lot of benefit to waiting till the end to ask your questions, just so you can see if we have addressed it within the presentation. And so I just want to say thank you again for joining us. I know that you have many questions and you'd like to hear what's going on. And we as an institution want to be prepared in answering these questions for you. And so, you know, with that being said, I just want to share that this is going to be recorded. It's going to be shared. So if you or your friends are unable to watch the full presentation, we will have this available as well at the end. And so I'm here joined with my team, and I really appreciate you being here. My name is Samantha Deleon, and I am the Associate Director for Admissions, International Enrollment at Illinois Institute of Technology here in Chicago. Each and every one of you guys have really made that effort to apply to the university, be admitted, and so we are really looking forward to seeing you this upcoming fall. Now, in regards to our presentation, I really wanted to echo what our university president Cram has said. We understand that the world is watching the United States currently, and we want to let you know that Illinois Institute of Technology, this is actually a quote that was shared on Instagram yesterday. Simply put, the university unequivocally condemns discrimination and violence against all African Americans within our community and across the country. This is actually true of just all students, of all people. At the university, we really do encourage really diversity and different thoughts. And, you know, I think with our institution, we really do encourage our community to come together in times like this. I really do appreciate our president, our administration really addressing this. And so I just want you to know, if you are an international student, if you are concerned about maybe what's happening in the United States, Illinois Institute of Technology has public safety. We have, we're actually working in line with our Chicago Police Department as well. And this past weekend, we actually had a peaceful protest enter a campus, and then they actually exited. And so I think that was, again, with the help of our community, with the help of our campus, and, you know, making sure that we as a university are welcoming of students. And that's really our underlying theme for our institution. And we are very welcoming, and we want to see you all on our campus. And so, you know, with that being said, I really want to kind of throw it to our presenters today. And so I know I introduced myself, but I have my colleague here, if she wants to introduce herself.
Yes, good morning from Chicago, everyone, and good afternoon, good evening to everyone who is joining us today. My name is Kemi Onajole. I am the director of the International Center on campus. We are the office, the department that takes care of all our international students when they are on campus. We assist you with immigration advising, so anything that has to do with CPT, OPT, bringing your dependents to the US. Those are the things that we do in my office, and those are the things that I will also talk about today in this presentation. Thank you again so much for choosing to be here and also choosing Illinois Tech. It's good to have you.
Perfect. And so again, number one, congratulations on your admissions to Illinois Institute of Technology. I think that is one of the biggest hurdles to actually overcome, applying, having all of your tests sent to the university. And so because of that, you guys are all here trying to figure out what is the next steps, what's happening currently during the pandemic. And so we as a university want to kind of walk you through what would actually happen next if you haven't done so already. So I'm actually gonna flip it to our agenda today. We're gonna give you our COVID-19 updates. Again, everything is as of today, June 2nd. And so, you know, as we've kind of shared, things are fluid, things are moving, things are changing dramatically. So as of today, we're going to give you our updates, and you know, we'll definitely give another update maybe sometime later in the summer, so you have the updates for what's going on campus. Your enrollment options for students unable to travel, I'll be discussing that. And then, as Kemi mentioned, updates from the International Center, OPT, CPT, those questions that you have in regards to having your OPT or CPT for the upcoming maybe 1 year from now. And then the last steps are really the next steps to Illinois Tech. And so we'll kind of give you that narrative. If you are an undergraduate or graduate student, we'll make sure that you have what you need to know in order to prepare yourself. So with that being said, again, it's as of today. And if you have not already seen this on our website, if you go to iit.edu/COVID-19, this is a website that you will be able to go ahead and see all of the updates from the university. The QR code will lead you directly there. So if you happen to be on a computer, this is really helpful. You grab your cell phone, scan it, and then that way you can refer to it later on. Again, all of our updates are as of today. And so anytime we get any updates, we'll make sure to share that with you. But this is essentially where we are pulling our information from, and we want to make sure that you as well are aware of what we are sharing with you. I think one of the biggest things that I'm actually going to show on the next slide is what is happening currently within Illinois as of today, and I believe we still are in the recovery phase 3. So some of our non-essential businesses are open, and gatherings of 10 people or fewer are allowed within the state of Illinois, within Chicago, and face coverings and social distancing are still the norm. So, you know, I think we have been seeing, and we've been working to make sure that like masks are available for students when they come on campus. We're going to make sure that, you know, if you even have one from your home country, feel free to bring it. And so just so you know, as of today, we're in phase 3. Something might change that might put us back in phase 2, but as of right now, phase 3 is the best way, is where we are. If you really want those updates from Illinois, just because I know this is going to be recorded and you might be watching it later on, feel free to look at coronavirus.illinois.gov. This is coming from the governor's office. So this is our Illinois government giving us the updates. But as of today, we are phase 3, and I just want you to share that with you. And so I think one of the things that a lot of students have been asking, like yourselves, are, so with the corona pandemic currently happening, I don't know if I can come to campus, or you have a lot of thoughts. I'm going to be very frank on terms of what's going on right now. As of today, our campus is still going to be open for the fall 2020 term. So if you are an international student planning on coming in August, we do have our campus open. So what I love about this is that it was created so you have 4 options for you to see. And this is both at the undergrad and graduate levels. And so you can enroll on campus. We expect you then to come on campus. August 18th is when our SOAR begins, and that stands for our Student Orientation, Advising and Registration. So you'll have that opportunity to come to campus. But what that means is that you'll accept the admissions offer as a traditional on-campus student. And then the next steps, we'll kind of talk about that later on. The second option is that you can enroll online this upcoming fall term, and then that way you take courses remotely. Now, some of the graduate programs you'll want to check on our website, which I'll show you a little bit later, which courses will be online, and then for undergrad, those are available for you to go online. So for that, your next steps are to confirm that your program is available online for the fall of 2020, and then you'll complete your intent to enroll via the app tracker. The third option is to defer till spring. And so you do have the option to wait to attend Illinois Institute of Technology and then start in, let's say, January of 2021 or fall of 2021. And that fall of 2021 is going to be next August. And so you do have options. We really want you to know that Illinois Institute of Technology has really thought about this thoroughly and have provided you options. So we want you to make sure that you know what you can do and what your options are for coming and becoming that Illinois Institute of Technology student. So with that being said, I do have some quotes from our faculty, because I think a lot of students have asked, well, this was your first semester online. Can you share a little bit more about what it was like? I think these really share what the campus is really about. Again, we really echo the fact that we are a smaller campus, so we are able to pivot in ways and to create things for our students and really be hands-on. And I think that's still something that's really, really important for our students. So Dr. Jeff Williamson is one of our engineering professors, and he even says, I have been particularly attentive to incoming queries of students during this strange time so that I can minimize the turnaround time on questions. I hold electronic office hours via video conference and allow for flexibility to scheduling these sessions out of sensitivity to students' issues. Students can also reach me by personal phone calls or texts. I don't know any other institution that says, here's my cell phone number to a student, and he has done that. And so I really do echo this, because our students, our faculty are still people who really want to connect to give you that best education. That second quote is from David Mogul. The past spring, I had a laboratory course, bioelectronics, disrupted by the pandemic. I spent approximately 2 weeks making up a package of hardware that I sent to each and every student that enabled them to carry on experiments at home. Again, I don't know any other institution that has said, I created what you need to do in order to be successful in my class. This is really important. So feel free to look up our professors here, because these are only just 2 of our amazing faculty members who actually took that time to do this. To make sure, and that was actually one that I know of who shared that, but I know that we had a few more faculty members kind of share what their experience was like. But basically, the quality of education was still strong despite them going virtually. They made sure that all of the experiments and laboratories were up to your learning ability. You know, I think that they really wanted to make sure that you got the information, you have the knowledge to be successful in your next classes and even after graduation. So I do share that because I think this is really important for you to know our updates from Illinois Institute of Technology and our faculty who went online this past spring. And so actually, as kind of we transition from that learning element, we're now going to transition to updates from the International Center. And so my colleague here, our PDSO, the director of the International Center, Kemi, is going to go ahead and share. And just before she starts, I just want you to know, if you have any questions, I might recommend that you save them for the end and put them in the chat box, and then that way we'll address them. Again, we're going to be providing a lot of information in regards to CPT, OPT, and we just don't want you to miss that information. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Kemi.
Okay, good morning from Chicago again, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Kemi Onajole. I am the director of the International Center for anyone who joined after my last introduction. We are the office on campus where you would come to discuss matters related to your CPT, OPT, and I'll talk about what all that means in a few minutes, and post-graduation when you're in the US. But before we get there, let me talk a little bit about the impact of COVID-19 on our IIT students. Like Sam mentioned, we had to move all our classes online in an effort to stop the spread of the pandemic on our campus. Some of our students lost their internships, or maybe the internship start date was delayed. I interacted with a student yesterday that was supposed to start her internship, I believe this week. It was postponed for a couple of weeks by her employer. Also, international travel has been altered significantly, as you all know. We have a few number of students who do travel home, or they they go somewhere else in the summer. However, students now, for the most part, are choosing to either remain in Chicago or go somewhere else in the US if they can, instead of going home at this time. Next slide, please. All right, so I want to talk about fall 2020 study options. We collated some questions about what distance learning could look like. Even though we're planning to be open on campus, we note that the ability to get a visa from the U.S. Embassy is a little bit tricky right now. Again, this is June 2nd, so we don't know what will happen in a couple of weeks in terms of the embassy's reopening and all of that. So the first question is, what happens if my program is only offering online courses this fall, or travel is not possible to the US for the fall semester? Our recommendation is that you can start your program at Illinois Tech online, from home, from your office, after work. You can take as many credits as you want to. If you are a grad student, you can take up to 9. If you're undergraduate international students, you can take up to 12 credits online, but it is up to you how many credits you want to take. The next question is, how would online classes be delivered? Would they be delivered as it's going on, or would they be delivered later on? And also, how will I be able to interact with my faculty outside of the online classroom? We wanted to let you know that course delivery and formats could vary depending on your department, depending on your classes. However, all of your classes, regardless of when they happen, regardless of the time zone, will be available on Blackboard. Blackboard is a tool that a lot of universities in the US use for you to access course materials. So this Blackboard will be used heavily for going forward. We've actually started using it as well for the summer semester. So that's where all the lectures will be recorded for you to see it either live or later on. Lastly, faculty and staff also will be available during their designated office hours, and also via email for you to interact with them, ask your questions as you may need to. All right. The next question, I think that's like what we say, the elephant in the room in the US. So when can I physically come to the US? I have wanted to do this for a long time. It's been my dream, my goal. Our answer to that question is that we are hopeful that even if some of our, if our programs start online for the fall 2020 semester, the current pandemic situation will be much better by the start of the spring 2021 semester, right? This is like a worst case scenario if you are not able to get to the US in August or September. We're hopeful by December 2020 or January 2021, mobility around the world would be improved, allowing you to be able to enter the US for study purposes. The next question, if I register for online classes for fall 2020, and then I get an F1 or J1 visa stamp, will I be able to switch from an online class to in-person classes? The answer is yes, but it's kind of a yes and maybe, right? Depending on when you get the visa. We have what is called an enrollment deadline each semester. And for the fall semester, that enrollment deadline, where you're required absolutely to be here, would be September 5th. The fall semester starts on August 24th, right? So if you get a visa between now and, I don't know, September 1st, 2020, for example, as long as you can be in the US by September 5th, then you can kind of switch from that online track to the live track to be here on campus with us in Chicago. The next questions are also about travel options, traveling to the US. What we have been saying in the International Center is that the current global situation is very fluid. Even though the state of Illinois now has moved to phase 3 in what they call the reopening of our state, the global situation is still very fluid. The ability for people to travel from here to New York, for example, is still very fluid. Talk less of the ability to go from London to the US or anywhere else in the world to the US. So we ask that you continue to check the IIT website, the one Sam showed you earlier. We have a dedicated COVID-19 webpage for the International Center, where we will also be updating information as they become available. Continue to check the Center for Disease Control's website. Also, and most importantly, the U.S. Department of State website will give you information about travel and visa information, especially for scheduling visa appointments as they become available. That is the best place for you to go to know that, oh, now I can apply for an appointment to get a visa to the US. All right, so let's talk about CPT and OPT. The CPT basically stands for Curricular Practical Training, and OPT stands for Optional Practical Training. And I will explain what both of them means in a minute. So CPT is basically your ability to do an internship after you have spent 2 semesters in F1 status, right? That internship could be full-time or it could be part-time. OPT is what you are able to get, which is work authorization after you are done with your program. So the question is, when will I be eligible to apply for CPT? You know, get experience outside of the classroom in my field of study? And our answer here is that if the current pandemic continues, and unfortunately, you're not able to start on campus physically in fall 2020, you may be eligible, you know, depending on your program, to apply for CPT at the end of summer 2021. So this is what I mean. If, for example, you cannot make it to campus to Chicago this fall, however, you are able to come in January and you spend the January semester with us full time, you would also be required to spend the summer 2021 with us full time. And after that summer, which would be August 2021, that is when you would be eligible to start your curricular practical training. Next slide, please. Okay, let me say something else before I talk about this slide. OPT, like I said previously, is the work authorization that's available to international students after you are done with your program. So as long as you are able to spend 2 consecutive semesters in F1 status, also, you would be eligible to apply for optional practical training with the US government. This would allow you to work in the US for either 12 months, depending on your program, or up to 36 months if you are in a STEM program here in the US. Again, all of those 2 options become available after you have been in the US in F1 status for at least 2 semesters in full-time status, at least 2 semesters. I think I saw a question earlier. Someone asked that they're already in the US in another state. If you're currently in the US, either in F1 status or J1 status, and you're wondering about how to transfer your CVIS records to the Illinois Institute of Technology, we ask that you please contact the specific admission office that you are working with. If you're an undergraduate student, contact, or rather if you will be an undergraduate student, or you're already one, contact the undergraduate admissions office. If you will be a graduate international student already here in the US, you would also contact our graduate admissions office, and they will assist you in transferring your CVIS record from wherever US institution you are in to Illinois Tech. All right. Any questions that you have about CPT, OPT, how to kind of manage all of that? I believe that this email is at the end of the presentation, but it's iCenter. We spell center differently in the US, so it's CENTER, not TRE. iCenter, no dash, no space, at iit.edu. I'll be back shortly for questions, and I'm going to turn things over back to Sam now for the next portion.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And, you know, I'm actually for the first time looking at some of the chats. I mean, I think one of the things that I really find so powerful right now is just that I see so many students from around the world. I see Jamaica, I see India, I see Nigeria, Ghana, I really do look forward to seeing you all on our campus. So I think that's really great. I think that's really what our university is about, making sure that we see our students coming from all over the world so we can really, essentially then educate the world. And so, I'm sharing this and I really do feel passionately about you all coming here. We're so excited because now the next things are you're admitted. So what's next? Maybe you guys have been getting a lot of emails from us. Maybe you guys have been reading them and maybe some of you aren't reading them. I get it. There's a lot of information coming your way. So let me try to condense it in the most, digestible way possible. My goal here, though, is just for you to kind of know when your next deadlines are. This is really, really important. So if you are an undergraduate student, if you're going for that bachelor's degree in whether it's computer science, mechanical engineering, architecture, you must submit your financial supporting documents by July 1st. So that's your financial affidavit of support, in addition to your passport. This is incredibly important. If you are that graduate student, you must submit it no later than July 17th. But we do highly encourage our students to complete these documents usually sooner. And for the graduate students, I think this was the next question, which is like, well, I'm trying to do my intent to enroll. Where is it? It's only available after you've submitted our financial supporting documents. We want to make sure that we are sending your I-20 out in addition to your official admissions letter. And that way you're going to go ahead and go into your intent to enroll form and say, yes, I am coming to Illinois Institute of Technology. As Kemi has also said, as of this upcoming fall and our university administration has said, we are going to be open. And so what our expectation is that you are there for our student orientation, advising and registration. And that is August 18th. And so the reason why we definitely share this date with you is because we know that when you come to the United States, there's just so many differences that you are going to be experiencing, right? Like how to take the train, how to get a bank account. And so, where things are located in the university. During the student orientation, we make sure that you are well equipped to being successful for your first day of school. And so we are looking forward to seeing you and all of our students this upcoming term. So here's your to-do list. This is so important. Send your financial affidavit of support, your bank statements, your passport copy to us as soon as possible. Again, you saw those dates, which were July 1st and July 17th. I'm gonna say this once, I'll probably say it again. Our goal is for every international student who's currently in this webinar right now, or who's going to be watching this later on, to know that we've already told you to submit these documents. So as soon as the US embassies, as soon as those consulates open, our Illinois Institute of Technology students are the first students to be in line saying, well, I already have my I-20 and I just need to go for my student interview. Don't forget to submit your intent to enroll. We just need to know that you are coming to the university so that way we can expect you and save your spot. If you are an undergraduate student, as well as a graduate student, for most other programs, it's $300. For the Stewart School of Business at the graduate level, it is a $500 deposit. Just letting you know that what this signifies to us is that we are saving your spot. So that way we are making sure that we are going to see you this upcoming fall or maybe for a later term should you decide that. If you happen to be in the United States already, don't forget that you would have to transfer your CVIS ID to us, and there is a transfer release form that must be submitted by someone at your home institution. And so I think I saw someone who said that I'm from Arizona right now. If you happen to be at another university, make sure that we can actually then see that within our system, so then that way we can issue you that new I-20. Information on all of this can be found on your app tracker. So if you forgot what your app tracker is, you can find it within an email. Just look up app tracker, and then that will show you your most updated information. It will be the place where you can submit some of your documents and upload it there. So if you haven't seen the financial affidavit of support, or you forgot what this looks like, this is actually a graduate one. So if you are an undergraduate one, there is a different one for you. It actually serves as also a worksheet. So what I mean by that is, if you see it says $48,821 for, let's say, a master's student in mechanical engineering. And if you, for whatever reason, realize like, oh, wait, I got a scholarship, you will actually have on the second page a worksheet for you to actually do some calculations to understanding how much is required for you at the university. So this is actually very important for us to share with you, is that for international students, most programs, if you are a graduate student, are 2 years. And so you would take that number that you see there and then multiply that by 2, and that would be maybe what you would be expecting to pay. In order for Illinois Institute of Technology to issue you that I-20, you just have to show 1 year of your finances to be able to pay for your education. So that includes your tuition, mandatory fees, room and board, your health insurance, and you'll see these numbers. There might be an update, and I think this might have been an older one, but just making sure that you know that that's how the financial affidavit of support works. Just some helpful hints for you all. Bank statements and documents should not be older than 6 months. Only liquid funds are acceptable. And if you do happen to have a government or employee like sponsorship letter, make sure it's on official letterhead. So you can't just say, this is my letter of admission or support, and they're gonna pay for my whole education. Make sure you have that for us. Unacceptable sources, bonds, salary verification, wire transfers, and make sure that these documents that you're submitting to us are not older than 6 months. We at the university are still issuing something called wet signatures. The wet signatures are the I-20s with the blue handwritten signatures that you can take with you to the U.S. Embassy and consulate. That is very important. And we do highly recommend that you take this, because I think that you might have heard that there are electronic ones, but within the United States, not everyone is accepting the electronic ones. So just so you know, we as a university are submitting the wet signature ones to you. Any questions on that, we'll definitely address at the end. So if I am talking too fast, I apologize, but there's a lot of information and I want to make sure that you all have time to answer, so we can answer your questions. And so I'm gonna go ahead to the next slide here, and so you can see how to actually see what your portal looks like if you have not already jumped in to see this. First of all, the my.iit.edu is your university portal. This is where you're going to go ahead and log in. And what's very important here is that you know your password. And that password, if you have not logged in before, is your birth date month. So if it's May, it's 05, the date 01, and then the last 4 digits of your banner ID. So that's something that you can find on your app tracker if you have not already done so already. The next slide here shows how you can submit your payment to the university. As I said, if you are in undergraduate programs, it's a $300 deposit. For some of the graduate programs, it's usually $300. And if you are in the Stewart School of Business, it's a $500 deposit. And this is the way that you would go ahead and submit that payment to the university. So you would just go ahead and select the term and then make that deposit to the institution. Final steps for enrollment. I think that a lot of you are very anxious to know what types of classes you're going to take. You want to know the professors and your academic advisors. So after you submit your tuition deposit and your intent to enroll, again, this signifies to us at Illinois Tech that you are coming. You can connect with your advisor and they'll be listed usually on your app tracker. And so if you're already like, I really want to register for my classes, I want to know what I'm taking this upcoming fall, make sure that you've already been in contact with your academic advisor, because you as a student cannot actually register for classes without your PIN, and they are the key holder to that PIN in order for you to register for classes. So you can't go in and say, I'm taking Computer Science 101, I'm going to take that English 100 class without having talked to your academic advisor. And it's just because they want to make sure that you're taking the correct classes, so by the time that you graduate, you will have prepared yourself for having that degree within, let's say, 4 years or 2 years if you are that graduate student. So we're getting down to some of our final slides. This is how you register for classes. We just like to share this with you. Again, the how to register page is again on your my.iit portal, and then it shows all of the next steps. But again, talk to your academic advisor so you can have all of the information in order to register for the upcoming fall classes. And so this is just helpful for you to kind of be familiar with what you would see when you are registering for your classes. Okay, finally, we're actually now moving towards preparing for your visa interview and arrival to Chicago. This is something that I think a lot of students have been very anxious about, and I can completely understand that there's a lot that's going on for you. So one of the things that I highly recommend is this is an external website from Illinois Institute of Technology, but it links you directly to the US Department of State wait times. Why this is really important is because so many of you are coming from all over the world. You know, I said Ghana, I remember Nigeria, I saw India, and sometimes consulates and embassies are completely different in terms of when their wait times are. I've seen anywhere from 8 days to 2 days, and I've seen even within the same country that emergency appointments only. So why am I sharing this with you? Again, the reason why I've been highlighting make sure that your I-20 is in your hand with your CVIS ID is as soon as those embassies allow students to schedule their appointments, we want you to be one of the first students to have that F1 student visa. But now what do you need to do once you have that appointment? Over prepare. I cannot stress this enough. Bring your I-20, make sure you have that with you. Make sure you have your passport, maybe even a copy of that, copies of your transcripts, test scores, bank statements, diplomas. I remember talking to one of my students, and she was talking to me about how she prepared and had one of those accordion folders. And so anytime they were like, well, where's your test score? She's like, I have that. I never want you to be unprepared for this event. I know that there's a lot of pressure. The consular officer, the U.S. Embassy official is going to be issuing you that the F1 student visa or maybe a J1. We just want you to make sure that you are well equipped, well prepared, and that they don't turn you away. I would rather you know everything, you know how to answer your questions, that you are truthful, and that you have answered everything honestly. Again, I think that they're very good about knowing if someone is lying to them because they do this for a living. So it's very important that you really, come in honestly, you come in prepared. And, if they ask you, why are you going to Illinois Institute of Technology? We really hope you don't say Illinois Institute of Technology is a university founded in 1800. Please do not say that. What they're really looking for is maybe that you've done your research about the university, that you know the inventor of a cell phone graduated from our university. Make sure you find those what I would call fun facts that you can maybe add in, but make sure you listen to the questions that are coming from the embassy official and that you're able to answer them. Again, dress your best. It is an interview, and sometimes students only have 30 seconds to make their first impression. So again, over prepare, be ready for this, and make sure you see when the U.S. Embassy or consulates are open, and that will be something that we want to prepare you all for. And so getting you that I-20 is going to be the #1 thing that we can do on our end, but it really takes some work on yours to send us those bank statements and your passport. Arriving to Illinois Tech, I think that even though this seems so far away, it's going to come a lot sooner than you realize. Again, we at the university are expected to be open in August. And so because of that, we actually asked some of our international students, what are some of the things that you wish you would have known? And she said, I wish I had brought US dollars with me. I didn't really think about that when I was coming, but I was grateful that I had my ATM card, and these are just some things that we have heard. Things to bring that you might not think of include sheets, so beddings and linens for your first day. I'm not saying bring a whole comforter for your whole entire day, one of those things that take up a whole entire luggage, but maybe a sheet. I mean, you are coming in the middle of the summer, so it is pretty warm here in the city of Chicago. She actually recommended scissors. She's like, I didn't realize this, but I needed scissors. And if you bring scissors, make sure to check that in and not bring that on your carry-on. Toiletries, so your toothbrush, your toothpaste, floss, whatever, your face wash, whatever you might need, those are your toiletries. And she said international snacks. She said, whatever is from your hometown, make sure to bring something. I think that is something that she really missed. And then medications. I think that, this is just something to remember. Medication should always be on your carry-on with you at all times, just in case you need something. And again, just so you know, there are so many places that you can buy your bedding, your other dormitory needs at Target. Target is located a few stops away. All of our students take something called the L, which stands for the Elevated Track, or the Chicago Transit Authority. We often call it the CTA, and you will get your U-Pass in order to basically jump on the train or a bus and then take it to maybe one of the stores that you might need. So I'm just gonna kind of wrap up some of those reminders. If you are the undergraduate student here, now just remember that it is a $300 deposit. Yours is refundable. You have the option to send it to us. We are really happy to see all of our students applying and submitting this, but they're also really excited to come then in the fall. And so just remember that deadline for you is July 1st. We just want to make sure that you have that I-20 in your hand. So then that way you get to the US Embassy or Consulate. Don't forget that you can, there's an online option for the fall of 2020, as well as the option to defer for the spring of 2021. For graduate students, I know a lot of you here are graduate students. So your last day to submit financial statements is July 17th. But again, I highly don't recommend waiting until the 17th, because again, about August 18th is when you should be already here in the United States for SOAR. So what that means is I would hope that you are getting your documents to us no later than, I would say, July 1st, similar to the undergraduate. And the reason for that is we want you to have that I-20 in your hand. Again, it's sooner is better, because you are scheduling that visa appointment as soon as those embassies and consulates are open. So that intent to enroll is really important, and also knowing your deposit. It's $300 deposit for students in basically every program at the graduate level, and then $500 for deposits for the Stewart School of Business. So if you're in a finance program, if you are in our like Master's in Public Administration, you would have that $500 deposit. This is really where I'm gonna ask Kemi to come back and step back in, and I'm gonna answer some questions. My colleague Claire, thank you so much for being online and looking at the chat, and she's kind of gonna filter through some of the questions for me.
Thanks, Sam and Kemi, that was great. I was paying attention to what questions we were getting and kind of made a list of some of the ones that I saw. So there were quite a few about students starting online for fall and what that kind of means. So the first one I saw, are online students considered full-time?
So, Kemi, do you want to take that one?
All right, repeat the question.
So if a student starts online for fall 2020, will they be considered full-time?
At this point, at this time, you know, again, this is June 2nd. With the regulations as it's written as of today, anything that's done online, it counts towards your academic requirements in terms of your credits, but you're not considered an international student because you're online. You have not obtained that visa, you have not entered the US, all right? Anything can change at any time, again, but as of today, that's the answer. Now, I want to repeat that any credits that you take, any classes you take online will count towards the credits that you need for your program. So it is not a sunk cost. It is not anything that you're wasting time or money on. It does count towards what's needed for your program.
Thanks, Kemi. And another question that we had as well. So what if a student starts online for fall, but then is not able to get their visa to come for spring 2021? What could potentially happen with that?
I think at that point, you can reassess, you can reach out to us to see what to do. Perhaps you can try again for summer 2021 or for fall 2021. But in terms of, do I keep studying online? Those are the things you can reach out to admissions about and our office. But I will also say you can apply again for your visa and see if perhaps you can work on some of the things that perhaps maybe went wrong in the interview. And just like Sam said, be prepared, know the answers to your questions as to why you want to study your major or why you want to come to Illinois Tech in the first place.
Perfect. And I see another one as well from a student who is in Arizona right now, but is originally from Colombia. And, you know, it's not really possible for him to return to his home country, or her. My apologies there. But this student is wondering if they could extend their B1/B2 visa to enroll at the university.
I think that's a question you might want to reach out to admissions or us about specifically, so we can get more specifics about your person, your situation, to best advise you. So I don't want to dwell into that here without knowing more, like when you enter the US and things like that. So it will be best to reach out to us individually about that.
Yeah, that's a great point, Kemi. And I'll actually say for everyone listening, if you have a very specific question about your financials, your scholarship, just something that's very particular to you, we always recommend emailing your admission counselor or the admissions office so they can look more into the details of your situation. Another question I saw come up quite a bit is if a student has already received an I-20 and they're planning to start in fall, would that I-20 still be valid to come in spring 2021, or would they need a new I-20?
So if the I-20 is going to be tagged for them for fall of 2020, you would be required to get a new one for the spring of 2021, because that I-20 says that you are coming to the country in the fall of 2020. But if you start online and then you go into the spring one would be a new one for you. And so, you know, that this is why it's best to like be in touch with our team and updated, so we can then provide you the correct information. And then let's say if you need to defer your admission or you are just starting later on, make sure that you have the correct bank statements. That's really important, so we can issue you the appropriate I-20.
Thanks, Sam. If a student does decide to defer to spring, should they still submit their financials now and pay the deposit, or should they wait to do that?
That's a great question. So if you are going to start in the spring, my recommendation is definitely pay the deposit, so we know that we are saving you a spot at the university. And then that way you'll get new information coming to you in terms of, okay, go ahead now and submit your financial statements, and maybe that would be closer to that 6-month mark. And so we just want to make sure that your bank statements aren't older than 6 months, because that would then mean that we wouldn't be able to issue you an I-20 for the upcoming January term.
Perfect, Sam. Another deferral question. So if a student wants to defer, how long can they defer for? So how many semesters, how many years?
So the maximum is really 2 semesters is what I would say. And what I mean by that is a full year. So if you want to defer for spring of 2021, that is okay. If you want to defer till fall of 2021, that is okay. If you're thinking I'm going to start in the spring of 2022, you would have to reapply to the university, because that is more than that 2 semester mark. So at least over like that 1 academic year.
And if a student is going to be transferring to us from another university or high school in the United States, is there a specific date that we require for that CVIS ID to be released to us on that transfer form, or is that up to the school that they're currently at and transferring to us from?
Yeah, I was just going to say that that really is something that you want to work with your institution on. I want to say the latest we can really accept it is, Claire, you might actually know, is it August 1st?
Yeah, we do recommend August 1st as, you know, the latest date to send us your CVIS transfer date, but that does come down to talking with your international student advisor at your current university or your current high school, and just talking with them about when that CVIS ID should be released from them to Illinois Tech, because it does depend on when your program finishes up. And so for every student, it's going to be a different date that they transfer their CVIS ID to us. So we recommend talking both with your admission counselor at Illinois Tech, as well as talking to your international student advisor at your current university or high school.
Correct. Thank you.
I did see quite a lot of questions of students asking about scholarships, TA positions, just all of those financials and how that might be affected if they start online or if they choose to defer.
So that is a great question. I would say if you do have an assistantship, I would say speak with your academic advisor about that, because I think that is based on the department. And so, you know, unfortunately for admission, since we aren't the office that issues the assistantships, you'll want to speak with your department, your academic advisor, just to, you know, get you that update on what's currently happening. Should we go online? And so, unfortunately, I don't have that information, but your departments would. So thanks for that question.
Yeah. Very specific scholarship related questions should definitely be forwarded to the admissions office, and then they can check with the academic department, because that will depend a lot on each program. So we have some students also asking, when they applied and were admitted for fall 2020, they were waived from taking things like GRE or SAT. If they decide to defer, would they still not have to worry about taking any of those exams, or would they then be required to take those?
That's a great question. Correct. We've already given you admission. We aren't going to rescind it unless something significant happens. But I would say if you defer admission, you still have that admission. Again, if you wait longer, then I would say the fall of 2021 would be the last term that you can defer till. But if you decide, oh, I'm going to apply for, let's say, spring of 2022, I know it sounds like very far from now, but if you decide if you're going to wait over a year to then come to us, you would then now have to take the GRE, the GMAT, the SAT, just as, you know, because I would think that it is, again, something that is actually going to be in effect again, and it's going to be open for students to take. So, yeah.
Thanks, Sam. So I've seen a few students also saying they don't have the option in their app tracker to defer. Would that be something they should reach out to their admission counselor or enrollment advisor about?
Absolutely. I was just going to say, chances are if maybe you don't have that option to defer, there was, I know, an email that went out, and that email that went out actually asked like what your plans were. And so I would say just connect with your enrollment advisor. If you are a grad student at the undergraduate level, make sure to ask a question to our team at the undergrad level. And actually, I'm just going to float over some of our presentation materials just so you see, and I'm not cutting off the questions, just so you know, because we have 5 minutes left. The COVID-19 website, again, is here, and the admitted students' next steps for grad and undergrad. Feel free to scan that with your phone, so that way you have that on your computer screen, and that would be really, really helpful for you. So, but some of you guys already have that, and that's wonderful. And so I do actually want to jump to this page, because this actually has grad.recruitment@iit.edu and undergrad admissions, intl@iit.edu. I actually do appreciate someone within the chat box who said, guys, don't spam the chat box. I appreciate that. I'm going to tell you right now, if you are an international student and you are at the graduate level and you've emailed us, and then you emailed us, and then you emailed us, and then you emailed us again, what ends up happening is your email gets shot all the way to the end. So we actually don't answer your question until we get there. And so if you're like, hey, I haven't gotten my question, and then you keep spamming the university, we are trying so hard to make sure that we answer all of your questions for you, that we make sure that we are answering them thoroughly as well. And so we apologize if like maybe you haven't received your response yet. We are definitely working on that. So I think we have about 4 more minutes. I'm going to throw it back to Claire if there are, I would say, more of the frequently asked questions. And then in addition to that, feel free to connect with the grad or undergrad admissions team.
Yeah. So I saw a couple more that popped up a few times. One is, if a student is starting online for fall, how would that affect the tuition and fees that they're paying?
So, so what ends up happening is there are some mandatory fees. Like, so when you're on campus, you're, you know, paying for printing, you're paying for like student services, you're paying for using the recreational facility. Some of those mandatory fees, those would not be applicable. In addition to that, the other ones that are not applicable would be housing. So I've actually recommended to a few students who are thinking, I would prefer to stay at home during this current pandemic. So what they end up doing is they're only paying the tuition, and then your scholarships would then be applicable when you go online. So I think that is something of benefit to students. And so, to be honest, I think that there are some opportunities for you to save a little bit because you're not paying for room and board living in the city of Chicago. You're not paying to fly out here. And so I think those are things that actually benefit you.
Thanks, Sam. And then the other thing I saw that popped up, so let's say a student does register for housing, but then they can't actually come for fall and they'll be starting online. Will they be able to get a refund for that, or how will that work?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think I would say case by case. And the reason why I say case by case is we could also take that deposit for housing and apply it to the upcoming spring term. But, you know, again, if there were things where maybe the embassy is still closed and you were unable to get your student visa, I mean, we wouldn't necessarily hold that money. We would definitely be able to hold that money for you for a different term, or be able to refund that to you. But I would think that we'd want to save it so when you come the next term that you would have that.
Perfect. And this presentation will be shared out later today, is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to work, we're going to make sure that it is safe for all of you, and we do appreciate you all just kind of being here. I think that we as a university, and I hope that you guys took this information here, but I'm just going to say thank you. And yes, we are going to save this. It's going to go on our website. I believe there's a YouTube video, YouTube channel that we do also add it to for the university. So our students, we really are looking forward to seeing you on our campus. I really do appreciate the time that you took. I think that your time is one of the most valuable things that you have. And you took that to really learn about your next steps at Illinois Institute of Technology. I really appreciate everything. I really appreciate all the thoughts and the prayers that are coming out to our campus, to the United States right now. And I would say we as a campus at Illinois Institute of Technology are still a welcoming environment. We cannot wait to see you all. And so because of that, I really want to say thank you. And thank you to all of my team members, to Kemi, and to everyone who was just managing the chat. If we weren't able to get to your question, again, make sure to connect with us. Look on your app tracker for who your academic advisor is, to your enrollment advisor, to even your counselor at the undergraduate level. So thank you all so much. Be safe, be well, and we look forward to seeing you this upcoming fall. Thank you. Bye, guys.
Maybe we should pop it back over to the contact information slides. So
absolutely.
For anyone who couldn't. So there you all can see the graduate admissions email address and the undergraduate email address. So if we didn't get to your question today, because I did see some that we didn't have time for, please email there. And then for a lot of you as well, your questions were very specific to your personal situation. So by emailing, we'll be able to get you the answers that you need.
Perfect.
And if you have any questions for the iCenter, like I said earlier, you can email icenter@iit.edu. Again, ICENTER@iit.edu. Thank you again, everyone.
Perfect. Thank you.